know, if you go into the prophecy of God, it says the tents of God shall be enlarged. I'm roughly paraphrasing it. But what that means is that the people of God, or the tribe of God, of the nation of Israel, they're going to dwell in a large, massive land, so to speak. That was their blessing. Go on.
Verse 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
So it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him. You know what that was talking about? That was talking about the North American cavalry, I believe, if I'm saying it correctly. The cavalry, which today is known as man, I forgot what it was called. Oh man, you brothers can help me out. It's known as today as man, it'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. I think it's called, I think it's national security or something like that.
National Guard?
Huh?
National Guard?
No. Homeland Security. There you go. They're known as now as called Homeland Security. They were responsible for taking down Gad, and this is why the British or these different European countries that occupy America today. All right, because they've taken down Gad. That's why it says the troop shall overcome him, but Gad shall overcome at last. Okay, go on, though. Yeah, go back to 2nd Ezra. Yep.
So this is 2nd Ezra's 13 and 42, that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. Yeah. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river.
Exactly, yeah.
For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood until they were passed over.
Right, because it was prophecy. The reason why the Lord held the floods down, so that ultimately the Lord can fulfill His other words, which we read all the time. So it was already preordained. That's why they were able to go there safely. Because when you're passing through that passage, when you're getting into the Atlantic Ocean, that's when you have all of those tornadoes and these different, issues when actually going through there. All right, go on.
Verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
Right, a year and a half, like I said. Go on.
And the same region is called Arsareth.
Right, which means another land. Go on.
Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come.
Right, it says they. Read that one more time.
Verse 46. Then dwelt they there until the latter time.
Right. They dwelt there until the latter times. What does it mean, the latter times? We're living in the latter times right now. The latter times began when the Messiah was on the scene, when Yahweh Shai came on the scene. That's when the latter times began. But we're literally at the end of the latter times. That's why they're still here to this very day. Prophecy, baby.
That's right.
Okay? Prophecy. Go on, bro.
The highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest the multitude with peace.
Yeah, that's it on that. Yeah, so go get me, brother, if you can. Get me what is it, Isaiah 55 verse 11. Because everything is operating in this realm, in this eon, is operating under the will of the Heavenly Father. Everything is, like I said earlier before, there's no such thing as free will at all. Everything's preordained to happen. Okay, now when Ezra made this statement, what time period was Ezra on the scene? We're talking of what? Around the 500 BC. The fifth, not 500 BC, but 440 plus BC or something like that. Okay, which is the 5th century BC. So we're talking what, 2,000, about 400 years ago, if I'm correct. But if you do the math, it's about 2,400 years ago. So he made this statement and prophesied that, look, the northern kingdom, they're going to be separate from the heathen, which was the Assyrians, and they're going to dwell in Arsareth even unto the latter times, which we're living in that exact times today. Prophecy. Go on, bro. So when people say, oh, why you guys reading the Bible is an old age book, it doesn't matter right now. It does matter, because the things that we're reading in this Bible are things that are happening right now.
That's why.
Go on, brother. But people say that because they don't study now. They just take other people's words and run with it, like it has some kind of substance. Go on, brother.
Isaiah 11 and 13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off.
Right, because there was a time when the tribe split. Now we're going to go back to the curse of Solomon. Let's get think it's in Solomon, not Solomon, but Kings. The Book of Kings. Yeah, okay, give me that, just real quick, yeah.
Okay, Book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 11. So shall my word be that go forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it.
Yes, yeah, read it again.
Read it. So this is Isaiah 55 and 11. So shall my word be that go forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void.
Right, so what this means is that his words will not return. In other words, everything that he spoke through his prophets was going to come to pass. It was preordained to come to pass. It was already set up. And it also says in the book of Numbers 23, verse 19, that he is a power that he should not lie, and it is impossible for him to lie. Okay? So everything that's happened, even on this particular moment in time, is all prophecy. Like us standing out here, right? And I'm not just talking about us, I'm talking about all of the brothers, as you see wearing the robes, all around the world. The Israelites that will come back to who they are and proclaim the word of the Lord. And the spirit of life would enter into them, which is the word, the Holy Spirit. Okay? Yeah, so, here you go.
It's the book of Nehemiah 13, and I'll start at 24.
Yeah.
23, so like so. Yeah. In those days, also I saw Jews that had married the wives of Ashdod, Ammon, and of Moab.
Yeah.
And their children spake half in the speech of Ashdod and could not speak the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people.
What's that? Yeah, you can get that. You can get that as well. But there's a scripture that I want you to get now. Read that anyway. Let's read that.
Verse 25. And I contended with them and cursed them and smote certain of them and plucked off their hair and made them swear by the Most High, saying, Ye shall not give your daughters unto their sons, nor take their daughters unto your sons, or for yourselves. Verse 26. Did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things? Yet among many nations was there no king like him, who was beloved of the Most High, and the Most High made him king over all Israel. Nevertheless, even him did outlandish women cause to sin.
Right, because what he did was, and I mean, it wasn't because he got into, it wasn't because he had those other nations of women that made him sin. What made him sin is the fact that he was worshiping their gods. He took heed to their customs, and that's why the curse came with a tribe split. Okay, because this I believe it was his sons. You had Jeroboam and Jeroboam. They split up the tribes. Okay, so I'm trying to find that scripture, by the way. Now you know where it talks about how King Solomon sinned, and it doesn't say that he sinned, but it says that he what is it, man? He married the daughters of Moab. He had those. Yeah, it says something like that.
Is it Nehemiah 13:26?
No. But what does it say?
It says, did not Solomon, king of Israel, sin by these things?
Yeah, he just read that. That's not what I'm reading. It's in Kings.
It's Kings and Kings. Yeah, I got it.
It's 11, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any of y'all can read it. It doesn't matter.
No, you.
This is 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites.
You know what, too? King Solomon had many wives too, and that's the thing for Israel. The Israelites were known for having many women. Okay, it was all right to have many women. Right now, it's a thing where you gotta have one woman. It's illegal to actually marry multiple wives now. And the reason as to why it is, and this is just my assumption, the reason why Esau made it illegal, or the powers that be made it illegal for one man to do different women, is because they want to maintain the human population. Because if you take one man and he's populating and he's having sex with all of these women, you're going to exponentially have a greater population. So his thing is to maintain the population.
Yeah,
right?
Because a woman can only get pregnant once at one time.
Right.
A man can get 10 women pregnant
at the same time.
Man.
Yep.
20 women pregnant at the same time.
Yep.
100 women pregnant at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's gonna exponentially grow the population.
So that's I think some of the brothers have seen this video of this, was she Ghanaian or something? Yeah. And she was talking about how 30 men basically repopulate the planet.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why obviously there's 7 women to 1 man.
Exactly.
Yeah, she said the amount of sperm that men produce would take only 30 men to get all the women of the planet pregnant.
Yep.
We are constantly producing.
So it was in their best interest to again put that out of law and make it illegal, man. You know, go on.
So like, that's actually in the Israelites' man's spirit to procreate.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the first commands
To be fruitful and multiply.
I was thinking about that.
Spirit of.
And also on the whole marriage of one woman, it's because to Esau, the woman is a tool against the Israelite man.
Right.
So she is basically...
But nowadays, all men nowadays.
Can't, exactly. So once the woman can trap the man, then Esau knows that, he's already trapped, so that's his one woman.
Yeah.
But if he's got multiple, he can go around and escape Esau's system of more payments.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's another reason too, is to depopulate, maintain the population, and to also trap men in legal issues, man. Go on, bro. As it's going on all the time. Go on, bro.
And it says, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and the
Go back
Hittites.
to that one precept that talks about the 2 tribes. Go on, bro.
I get that again, and it says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites,
In other words, the Chinese, he had what you would call Chinese women today. Go on.
Ammonites,
Japanese women, he had. Go on.
Edomites,
So-called white women. Go on.
Zidonians, and the Hittites.
Right, he had Hermetic women, those indigenous African people. Okay, he had women of that nation. Let's read on there. Because I want to get down to the root cause as to why the tribe split.
And it says in verse 12, of the nation concerning which the Lord Jehovah said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love.
And that's exactly what happened, because he loved those women, and that was the wrong thing to do, because he fell in love. You know, so when a man falls in love with a woman, he loses his mind, man. You know what I mean? And then he starts going up. And that's what Solomon did. He fell in love with those women, and that's why the tribe split. So what he should have never did is fell in love with them. Go on, bro.
In that case, also when you go older, when you start to get age,
Right, he was an older man too.
Start going off.
Yeah.
And it says here in verse 1 Kings 11 verse 3, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines.
So what he had women of higher stature. They were coming from a royal background, because he was of a royal elk himself. I'm not going to talk over that. That's just pointless. Yeah, so Solomon had what, 700 wives, you know?
700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines.
He had 300 sex slaves, pretty much. You know?
And his wives turned away his heart.
And that's what happened. That's why the curse came down with the tribes. Keep going.
And it says, verse 4, for it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods.
All right.
And his heart was not perfect with the Lord, his power, and was the heart of David, his father. And it says in verse 5, for Solomon went after Ashereth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites.
Right. So he was building these temples for these gods and worshiping these gods as well.
And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord.
Because what was the commandment that he missed? The first commandment is to worship the God. Worship no other God before him. He worshipped another God. Go on, brother.
And did as David his father.
That's why it says he did evil in the sight of the Most High. Go on.
Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab.
Right, the gods of Moab. He built a temple just exactly so he can formulate the gods of Moab, right? Which is Chemosh, if I'm saying it right.
Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
Right. Which is, okay, so Molech goes back to the Ammonites. All right, that's all right, you know. Which Molech is a god that's worshipped today. When you go to Sonoma County, Georgia, California, what you have is these rich people, these powerful people. They'll get together secretly, sacrificing human flesh or kids. All right, that's what they do. They sacrifice it to that what is it, that
Bohemian Grove.
right, the Bohemian Grove.
It's like an owl.
Right, it's like a big owl. Go on.
And it's
Go on. Let him say something.
This is First Ezra 4 and 26, and it says, yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sakes.
That's what happened with Solomon. Go on.
Many also have perished, have erred and sinned for women.
Exactly.
I've got another
They
precept.
lost their minds, man. Go on.
It's at Deuteronomy 7 and 3, and it says, neither shalt thou make marriages with them, thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son.
Right, in other words, the commandment was don't marry these other nations. Don't do it. Now, what you can do, like Solomon did, Solomon had concubines, which a concubine is pretty much a sex thief, you know what I mean? But what he did was he married them, and what happened is he fell in love with them, and that's why he decided to build these gods. And he was an older bloke, so his mind wasn't all the way sharp. Anyway, on top of that, go on, bro.
back in 1 Kings 11.
No, let him finish.
Oh,
that.
Salaki.
Go on.
And it says, thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter thou shalt take unto thy son.
Yeah.
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
Exactly, like what happened with Solomon. Go on.
It says that they may serve other gods, so will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly.
Yep, and that's what happened to King Solomon. King Solomon, the anger of the Lord was kindled against him.
Yeah.
And the reason why that went down because of what he did.
Yeah. The difference between King David and King Solomon was King Solomon went ahead and started worshiping the gods of all the other nations.
Right.
David was popping these the women of these other nations, but he just kept them as that, man. He wasn't putting after their gods.
Yeah.
Okay, he didn't turn away from worshiping the Creator, man.
Exactly.
Like, but the difference with Solomon's sin was to follow after their ways. Just like when the Lord said, "Don't make marriages with them," the purpose for that reason, he said, was because they're gonna turn your sons from following me and to follow after their gods instead.
Right.
So let's remember, Solomon was the wisest man.
Yeah, he was the wise out of
The
all.
wisest.
Yeah.
And still a woman was able to turn him.
Yeah, word a minute.
Yeah.
See his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, bro.
That's the moral of the story.
Exactly.
Can't miss the moral of the story.
You're going.
Back in 1 Kings 11 and 8. And likewise
Back to the point.
did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense
To strange gods.
and sacrifice unto their gods.
Yeah.
And it says, and the Lord, Yahweh, was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Lord, from the Lord power of Israel,
Right.
which he had appeared unto him twice. And had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after the gods, but he kept not that which the Lord had commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee.
Right, I will rend the kingdom from thee. I will get to the point. I will rend the kingdom from thee. Let's read that.
And I will give it to thy servant.
And I will give it to thy servant. Go on.
And it says, notwithstanding in thy days, I will not do it for David thy father's sake,
Right.
but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. And it says here, howbeit I will not rend it away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son.
You see what I'm saying? But I will give one tribe to thy sons. So correct me if I'm wrong, brothers. Now, one of the sons took the northern kingdom to another side of things, right? And I believe his name was, if I'm saying his name correctly, Jeroboam. Jeroboam, he was the one that split the northern kingdom from the southern kingdom, which is the southern kingdom is what you call Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and the northern kingdom is Simeon, Gad, all the way down to Issachar, etc.
And it says, but will give one tribe to thy son for David, my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite.
Right, Hadad, right. We know who Hadad is. Go on.
He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury.
You know, the brother, you read the point. The point, the curse of the matter is the fact that there was a time where the tribes were split. Okay, and that was all going back to because of what Solomon did with his wives. All right. So now we're going to read the scripture now.
So Isaiah 11 and 13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off.
So now the Lord is going to do away with that curse. Keep going.
Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
So how would that curse be done away with? By these brothers and these sisters as well coming back to the truth of Yahweh Baal Shemel Shai, therefore making peace again.
That's right.
That's why Yahweh Shai is known as the peacemaker, because he's the mediator between the man and the Most High, which he will make peace between Israel and the Most High, and also making peace between the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. This is why when you go to America, right, you got brothers in California, I believe it is, the brothers on the west side. You got Judites preaching the word along with Ephraimites. Issacharites preaching the word with Benjamites. Go on, brother.
This is the book of John, chapter 10, verse 16.
That camp, I believe it's called the GMS Ancient of Days. That camp, that's a prime example. That camp is a prime example of all of the tribes coming back together again. Go on, brother.
John chapter 10, verse 16. And other sheep I have.
Right, and other sheep that he has. Go on.
Which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring.
Them also I must bring. In other words, the other sheepfold that's in the landmass of America, that dwelt therein from eons, man. And the Lord likens his people unto sheep. Let's get Matthew chapter 10, brother. 10 verse 9. All right, go on.
And they shall hear my voice, and they shall be one fold.
Right, they shall hear my voice, and they shall be one fold, not twofold, not threefold, one fold. Go on.
And one shepherd.
And one shepherd. So they're gonna have one leader that they're gonna follow, and that one leader is Yahweh Shai, automatically setting up the house of David as in the days of old, baby boy. All right, so let's read that.
It's Matthew 10 and 5. These 12 Yahweh Shai set forth and commanded them, saying,
oh yeah, get Ezekiel the 37th chapter.
Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of
Israel. So the Lord
Israel.
likens his people as lost sheep, and that's the Lord's favorite animal that he created, the sheep. So he likens his favorite people unto the favorite animal he created. Go on, bro. How about that? Yeah, so
Ezekiel 37.
Yeah, Ezekiel 37. It talks about how the sticks came to Christ.
Oh yeah, I've got it.
Yeah,
This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter
Revelation
37, verse 15. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions.
Right, which Judah is the southern kingdom.
Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim.
Right, so it's telling you right there that Joseph is Ephraim. In other words, representing the northern kingdom. Go on.
And for all the house of Israel, his companions.
And his companions together. Go on.
And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand.
That's it right there. So that's what's happening already. So what's merging these people together is the word of the Heavenly Father, the Holy Spirit. So now what we're going to do is read Revelations. Matter of fact, we're not going to even just jump right there. Give me Ezekiel 37 and read all the way down. Start with verse 5. Go on, bro.
This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 5. Thus saith the Lord power unto these bones, behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. and I will lay sinews upon you.
So what are the bones representing? The bones are representing the state. At one time they were dead. They were in a dead state. Okay? But when the breath came in, which represents the wisdom of the Heavenly Father, which is the breath of life. Go on.
And will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh.
In other words, we're going to come back to who we are. We're going to wear the robes, we're going to keep the law to the best of our ability, and that's what the flesh is talking about. And then we're going to know our power. And we're also going to know his real name too. Like many will say, well, the name of the Lord don't matter. It does matter. And his name is Yahweh Shah.
That's right.
All right, Yahweh
God bless you.
You too.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
So where you from? What's your nationality?
My grandma was a Jew, so I started studying.
No, I'm saying your father. What's your father?
My father's Irish.
Well, you're one of us. The Irish. because the seed goes back to the father.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can tell that she's an Israelite.
I was ready to back you with that man, you know. I didn't need any of you.
Well, that's just the thing. Again, like I said earlier before, we don't get on a color bandwagon.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Because it's all about the spirit. You see? All right, take care.
Shalom.
But anyway, let's read on, man. Let's read on.
This is back in Ezekiel 37 and verse 5. Thus saith the Lord power unto these bones. Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live.
So what is the breath? Let's find out what the breath is, brother. Yeah, brother, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
Get the mouth shut, just listen.
You know, people are foolish right now. See these people anyway.
Yeah, so this is Revelation 11 and 11. And after 3 days and a half,
that's the
spirit of the life, it's like a spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet.
Right, and they stood upon their feet. So that was the breath that entered into them. What is it called, brother? Read that again.
So Revelation 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them.
Right, the 3 days and a half represents 350 years. So from the 1600s all the way up to now, he was blinded, and then when 1970 came, the year 1970 came, or 1969, you know, there was an elder, which we recognize as an elder. Albert Bivens came on the scene to bring us back to the doctrine again, pursuant to Malachi the 4th chapter, prophecy. Yeah, read some more of that.
It says, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud.
In other words, that's talking about the salvation. So once you receive the word of life, then once you receive the word of this salvation, then you'll be saved. And this is why I said earlier before, you know, while I was a little bit angry, as you get, you know, because we're passionate at the same time, how our people don't want to repent back to the Heavenly Father. But this is the way through. If you want to survive the holy Holocaust to get ready to take place, you got to come into this right here. Okay? That's just the best way to go. So yeah, read on, brother.
Back in Ezekiel 37, verse 6.
Yep.
And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and ye shall live, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh.
Yep.
So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together.
Right, so when the spirit of life entered into them, what is the spirit of life? The spirit of life is the word of the Heavenly Father, the scriptures. That's what it's all about. Go on.
Bone to his bone.
Bone to his bone. Go on.
And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them above, and there was no breath in them.
And there was no breath in them, because you got a group of guys that look like Israelites, but they didn't have the wisdom. Like how you got now.
I just lived the Bible experience, and I'm a prophet of God, but I'm white like, so... You know, I
At
know
the
who you
same
are.
time, but they don't have the true
Israelites,
wisdom, understanding.
Israelites
Unless you
are
don't.
everywhere.
And it says,
Irish are Israelites. I'm an Israelite. You're a bit
Yeah, you're an Israelite, brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
Go
I
on.
know you're being sarcastic.
All right.
But I'm telling you, I'm the
verse 9.
No, we've been. No, I'm
my
genuine.
mark here,
I'm truly genuine.
this mark is in every electricity box in
Now, just
Ireland.
because you're an Israelite, that don't mean you're going to make it.
God, my
Because you
head.
got the 2/3 that got to be destroyed because they're not right. You know. Go on.
Yeah, verse 9, and it says,
But they are part of being the people of God, the Most High. Though. Go on.
You'll
And
be
it
right.
says-
You'll be right in the kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be all right in the kingdom. Yeah. They're gonna have to get it back in the kingdom, man. Right now, they're just being wicked, man. Basically.
and it says, then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord power, come from the four winds.
Right, so this birth is gonna come from the four winds. This is why you got brothers teaching the word in Trinidad, brothers teaching the word in Jamaica, brothers teaching the word in what is it, Peru. Alright? Brothers teaching the word in Brazil now. Brothers teaching the word in Australia. Holland, I mean, should I go on? Right, South Africa. Alright, go on, bro. So that proves right there that this is prophecy here. So this word is going to enter into these men, and they're going to speak these words, and then be saved at the end of it all. Go on, bro.
O breath, and breathe upon these slain.
Because we were in a dead state. Let's go back to Revelation 11 again. You know what I want.
So Revelation 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet.
I say we'll read up a verse.
Revelation 11 and 10. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them.
Go up a little bit. Go up a little bit. You know what we say.
This is Revelation 11 and 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt.
Right, and it's a city, really it's a country, because that country would also have all of the tribes in it. Now, if you go to America, most of the 12 tribes are there. You got Issachar that's there. You got Naphtali that's there. Zebulon that's there. Ephraim's there. Asher's there. All of the tribes are there. All right, and they're all in a dead state. They either believe in Roman Catholicism or some kind of Christianity of some kind. Go on, bro.
Can I just bring out a quick precept because you said that the city that's spiritually called Sodom in Egypt.
Right.
This is the dictionary definition of Sodom. It says 1, an ancient city destroyed with Gomorrah because of wickedness.
Right.
Genesis 18 and 19. And definition 2 says, any very sinful and corrupt vice within place.
Right, and that's America.
Backs it up.
That's America, because America is the country that has promoted what you call sodomy right now. This is why people can walk around and flaunt this rainbow flag around and parade with this thing, man. And that's blasphemy too, because the rainbow symbolized the covenant the Lord made with mankind, that he would not destroy the earth with a flood again. But they took the rainbow and changed it to something else, to their meaning. All right. So that's the land of what is it, Sodom and Egypt. And the reason why it says Egypt, because in ancient Egypt we were slaves under the Egyptians. All right. Go on, brother. And also, if you look at the American dollar bill, I believe it's at the back of it, there's a pyramid which reverts back to Egypt. And also you have these different obelisks that are standing in the midst of America, which goes back to Egypt again. All right. So it was known as Sodom and Egypt. America, go on.
So this is our 2nd Ezra 15 and 11. But I will bring them, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues.
Right, and smite Egypt with plagues. So you would think that this is talking about ancient Egypt. No, it ain't talking about ancient Egypt. It's talking about America, because that's going to be the land also where we're going to be delivered at. That land is going to be experiencing the coming of the Lord and also the deliverance. Now we're going to be delivered over here too, but brothers have to be delivered over there first, okay? Because the Lord got some work to do over there. That's right. And then he's going to do some damage over here too. Go on, bro.
And smite Egypt with plagues as before.
As before, go on.
And will destroy all the land thereof.
And destroy all the land thereof. In other words, America's going to be a total desert land. 5,000 square mile worth of desert. That's what it's going to be. And that's in other precepts we can get out too. Because in ancient Egypt wasn't wholly destroyed. So what Egypt this is talking about? America. Now if you're a prophet of the Lord, as we all are, which the word prophet